What's up, everyone? Good morning. It's your host, Carlos Ponce, and this is another live episode of Advancio Talks. And if you are just discovering us, welcome. But if you've been here since the very beginning, since 2022, well, you know what we are about. Advancio Talks is where we sit down with the people actually building the future of business and technology, not just talking about it, but doing it. CTOs, founders, the folks making decisions that matter. So whether you're drinking coffee, commuting, or just curious about what's actually happening in tech, stick around because today we've got Nick Huddy, the founder of Pantheon Golf, with us today. And well, Nick has got stories and insights you won't hear anywhere else. So let's jump right in. Nick, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you, Carlos. I'm very well. Thank you very much. I hope you are too.
Perfect. Yeah, we're so happy to have you here as well, Nick. So let's start from the very beginning, and that is you. Tell us a little bit about you. Who is Nick Huddy? Tell anything you want to share about your journey, your background, your story, anything about you personally. Self-promotion is highly encouraged, so please feast away.
Easy enough. Well, that's I'm an entrepreneur. I came out of the South African region, Southern Africa, really. Born in South Africa.
Okay.
I went through school there. I eventually wound up in university. Of all the paths I could have gone, I went into entertainment at that time. I was being shuttered and ushered towards the path of medicine, but at the very last moment, kind of pulled up the parachute there and wound up in the film industry. So spending a few years in there, I was able to work my way through a few productions and gain a bit of traction in the industry before I went overseas. Spent a career kind of building up my status in different industries in different countries around the world, operating in everything as far as radio stations, setting up the first English radio station on the island of Mauritius. I was fortunate enough to work with some of the larger animation studios in Australia and the UK. Eventually, in 2017, I was invited over to the US to come and work with Nickelodeon on a project down here, and I wound up kind of sticking around in the American market and established myself in a few areas here. So I've always had an array of different projects going at any kind of given time. You know, I'm not really one to stick to one particular industry or vertical. Having hopped around so many different countries and in different businesses, and finding out the inner workings of all of that, I've kind of identified the root similarities that run through all systems of business all over the world. And so from that, I've been able to set up a couple of ventures of my own and help many other companies achieve what I like to think of as their true potential, growing up from where they are now.
Awesome. That's quite a journey. I mean, from South Africa to many other places in the world. I can sense that the journey has been a fun one, to say the least.
Oh, yeah.
Now, tell us a little bit about Pantheon Golf. What is it that you came up with? Tell us a little bit about it, and just so that anything you want to say about the company is fine. So
surely. Well, Pantheon Golf really came along from a couple of different angles. The first was when I was a kid, my father really instilled this love of golf into me. And between he and my cousin, they really taught me the value of golf in business and the interactions that happen on the course and how to go about those interactions and how to go about building those networks. Now, that is something that's always stuck very, very close to me, and so every element of my life, every business that I've gone into, every element of work has had golf attached to it in some way. It is part of our marketing exercises, as networking, in any of those things. So that was kind of the first pillar of it. The second being the growth now in simulator golf happening around the world. Now, just within a 15-minute drive of me, there are 7 simulator bars which have opened up in the last year. This is not uncommon around the country. Right now, there are a little over 20 million simulator golfers. They are a huge part of the segment. And the simulated golf itself is the fastest growing segment of the sport. However, you have one particular market which is not being catered for right now. And that is the person who, for reasons of fame or fortune, cannot exactly go around the corner to their local sim bar and pitch up there and go and join up a league. You expect the likes of a Kevin Hart or a Will Smith or any of those to be able to kind of just go over to the neighborhood bar and not play unaccosted and not really be swamped.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is this, there is an element of golf, which is the networking and the development of community, which is especially important for people in the business fields. And the further up you get on the business ladder, the more important that networking becomes, and the more important the community becomes.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we have done with Pantheon is we've first and foremost established an environment where people at the highest levels of their industry are able to interact with their peers in the same levels without having to worry about being flogged over for who they are and so on in an environment which is discreet and secure. And that became the basis of the society, was to essentially begin with this community. From there, we kind of took the idea that there had to be more to the process themselves. There had to be more to the community itself than just an online gaming society amongst a certain level of successful people. And so we started to draw the elements of the greatest country clubs around the world. So the great luxury elements of them being the wine and spirit bars that they have, the cigar bars, their access to reciprocity of different courses around the world. There were these things that really make a country club great.
Right.
And we took those elements and put them together in a virtual society. And we did this specifically for people who are jet setters. They're running around the country. They don't necessarily have the time to stay in one place to be able to get all of the benefits of being a part of a club, of a sporting club, of a golf society. So there are elements like championships within the clubs that many people are unable to take part of. There are many networking opportunities and group golf days within clubs that a lot of people are just not able to take part in. And so there's this huge portion of the business side of golf which has kind of gone left by the wayside a little bit and overtaken by the recreational simulator side, which has not yet accommodated the business side of golf. I'm kind of hopping a little around in circles there, but yeah.
No, that's fine. That's actually very enlightening. I'm starting to get a glimpse of what Pantheon Golf is about, but we'll dive a little bit deeper into that as we go through the conversation. So, Nick, I'd like to start getting taking a deeper dive into the insides of your building. Today's topic is going to be virtual golf and real engineering, right? Building global ecosystems through technology and innovation. Okay, so I'd like to ask you the following. What was the pivotal moment that made you transition from marketing and entertainment into building financial ecosystems and tech-driven businesses?
It was actually a little bit of the other way around. I had been building financial ecosystems since it would have been sort of the early 2000s, when I started working with companies that had pretty interesting intersections with companies in other verticals.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started linking companies together that in any other situation would not have been apart. We would not have been a part of each other. So whether that be linking logistics companies and turning them into airlines, taking sound studios, for example, in Los Angeles, and converting them into subscription-based services as opposed to single service delivery systems. And so taking it's always been a little bit of a talent of mine to be able to link different ideas, and to be able to link different philosophies, and to be able to link different methodologies to put together in order to solve problems. And so kind of the majority of my career has been about pulling people together and pulling different industries together. And so it was really only when I came over to the US that I was put in a position for the first time in my life that I had to focus on a single thing. And that was really due to the visa process at the time. I had originally come through to the US to establish a business in the food industry. And while I was in the process of putting in the visas and establishing all of the, putting down all the paperwork, etc., there had been a sudden change in the immigration system and the immigration laws. I won't say why, but there was there was a shift.
No need to.
No need to. And so at the time, I was given the option. I could either abandon setting up anything in the US at all, and return back and kind of continue a different career path on the South African side, or in that case would have probably been in the UK. Or I had the opportunity to work in the US as in the entertainment industry. And be able to obtain the visa in that state, and be able to then work my way through until I was established and had the appropriate paperwork and visas to be able to then establish the food company and set everything up down the line. And so that kind of took me into a 3-year deviation in what was at that stage my career of putting together all sorts of things. And I was forced at that stage to spend 3 years only focusing on a single thing, which was animation in entertainment. And it was only after about 3 years that I was able to branch out from that and start looking into other things. And at that stage, I had met my wife in Los Angeles. She and I were neighbors. We had no idea the other existed. And together, she and I teamed up and formed Hudson Davis Communications, which is our marketing and public relations firm. So I, having come out of the experiential marketing world, being in the South African entertainment industries, took on the experiential marketing side of Hudson Davis, and Blair, my wife, coming out of the public relations industry, took on all of the PR. And so together we founded this company that was just wonderful. We were able to grow, just had an incredible velocity of the couple of years getting up there. And from that stage, I was able to continue to branch out and continue to grow my portfolio and what I'm busy working on. So really, the marketing communications wasn't the pivoting point; it was the result of a pivot. So.
The result, okay. I see. Yeah, okay. So I kind of got it backwards then, but it's very educational. Thanks for clarifying the clarification,
Sure.
so to speak. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I know. Sometimes when you're embarking in business in the U.S., well, you have to kind of tweak things around a little bit. I've been there myself, so I know what you're talking about in that sense. So, there's something that I heard when you were telling me about how you came about your company. You mentioned that you were good at bringing people together. That kind of you had it's a personal trait of yours. So was that? I'd like to ask you. Was that inspired you to create an ultra exclusive golf club built entirely around simulator technology rather than the traditional courses? Was that it, or is there something else?
It very much that bringing people together was the idea. I this is very much a community, Pantheon. It's very much a society rather than it is any one particular offering. Okay. And so everything revolves around our membership. Everything revolves around bringing people together. Everything revolves around our events and all of our joint activations. Even with our partners and being able to bring those products into our boutique, every element of Pantheon surrounds the member. There is nothing in there that we're really trying to draw the member over to. I'm a big believer in reverse benchmarking. So
reverse benchmarking.
Okay. So reverse benchmarking, you identify what it is that your opponent is really shit at doing, and you become brilliant at it. Because as soon as you do that, immediately you start to look like the superior option before any of your other offerings are even considered. Right. Amongst your customer base, you immediately look like the better option. And so everything about our club we've sort of taken from the point of reverse benchmarking. We've looked at it and gone, okay, what are simulator clubs right now really bad at doing? Well, right now, simulator clubs are not designed for tournament scoring in such a way. They are they're very much set up in a way that is purely recreational with very, very little consideration for what would be considered standardized competitive play.
I see. Okay.
And so we've identified that as a problem. And one of the things that we've done in the club is started to implement our very own handicap and scoring system, which is really a unique system to simulator technology.
Okay.
Now, the reason that it's unique right now is that the way that simulator technology works is if you were to set up on your sim and you accidentally were to just knock the top of the ball, you would just top it and it were to roll forward. Now, in the game of golf, that is considered a penalty stroke. You've attempted to hit the ball, you've made contact with the ball has advanced. In simulator golf, with the technology as it is at the moment, many times that strike will not be recorded because the radar or the photography has not picked up the movement of the ball. And so that doesn't register. Now, when you're playing competitive golf, how many of those are you willing to allow a free shot before you need to actually count it as a stroke? So if you were playing in a simulated tournament right now and you weren't being monitored or supervised, and you hit the top of that ball 8 times over, but you took 4 strokes to get into the hole, the simulator is only going to record that you took 4 strokes on that hole.
Mm-hmm.
And so this really leads to where the third arms race is right now in simulator technology around the world, which is verification. And how do you take these situations and firstly standardize the setups, and secondly standardize the results in such a way that they're auditable? Now, as soon as you get technology together that makes the results auditable and you can actually verify the scores, in our case, we use that with a combination of AI and video storage software. Mm-hmm. So the AI will analyze the player's motion. The AI will identify where the ball is, whether or not the ball moves. It'll use a microphone to detect whether there was any impact on the ball whatsoever. Whether it's detected as motion or not. We can really get very, very fine detail of what we're tracking. And so it's using that AI technology to keep track of everything that's happening within the frame, to keep track of the standardization of the room and the conditions in which the player is playing, and then being able to return an accurate score that can then be put towards a handicapping system. Obviously, with the handicapping system and verifiable scoring, now we are able to put together long-term FedEx-style tournaments, which combine tournament play on simulators with live play during our majors and for the club championship. So really, this is the third. As I said, this is the latest in the arms race now. Is how do you verify everything, and how do you have that crossover with the technology, that you as somebody who is playing indoors would be able to compete with somebody who's playing outdoors.
Right.
On the same, if you were playing the simulated version of Pebble Beach, how precisely would you be able to compete with somebody that was playing the course live at the same time? Mm-hmm. Well, you would need some kind of handicapping. You would need some sort of one-to-one conversion system to be able to take it from the simulated world into the real world. And that, from a technological side, is something that we're working on Pantheon in order to build up that competition environment in such a way. It's an important thing for me that I've always secretly wanted to be a professional golfer. And I think this is true of every person out there who plays golf. Is that in our minds, we're Tiger Woods. And so, right. And so, this is kind of why there's so much appeal in being able to get into a league and being able to go and play at these competitions at your local club and get in, is that it gives you that feeling of having a little bit of a tour experience, of being able to test your mettle, have that little bit of competition playing out there. So. Right. We're interested in taking that one level further at Pantheon, and so I'm very sure to offer our members a PGA style competition environment, where it really is the same sort of feel, the same sort of environment as being on a tour, but it's done in such a way that you're able to play from your home simulator 1 hour a week if you need to. You're able to link in with other players in the course and be connected with them for live play, in there, which is also something that's just not being done in simulator play right now.
I see.
Yeah, I see. So we're able to use the environment of golf to really bring people together, to bring businesses together, to bring peers together in the business world that are able to have these conversations with each other, that are able to innovate with each other, that are able to to build businesses together. And that's the real goal here. That's the real,
Right. So there's both a human component and a tech component, right?
Hugely. Yeah.
Okay.
The tech component, as I said, that is certainly going to be the future of the game now. It's we're seeing that as the fastest growing sector. There's no indication that it's going to be slowing down. We're going to see more and more of these simulator bars setting up. We're going to see a few more upmarket, closer to private members' experiences going on. We're seeing a few of those coming up with subscription service simulator bars, et cetera. So the market is growing. The technology has an incredible potential still to grow in this field. Right now, as I said, we're in the third race. The first came from just being able to pick up the impact in the first place. The second came from being able to take that data, to be able to run it through software programs that then use aerodynamics calculations and so on and so forth to work out trajectories and all of that for golf balls, and then being able to present that data is the third. So that's kind of where more graphic processing technology comes in. That you start looking at the realism of the course as you're playing it. Now, that kind of splits itself into two major areas of technology, which is the monitor itself, that right now has evolved from being very, very simple radar. They went over to far more effective Doppler radar, which is incredibly effective outside, but not particularly great inside. And so the latest technology now combines Doppler radar with photogrammic data. They take high-speed photography of the ball. So the monitor itself, there's a couple of additions that have to come to the monitor over the next few years, and that has got to be the introduction of the verification processing. So the easiest way to organize that, as I say, is a combination of AI, LiDAR, and software.
Okay. There's something that I would like to ask you. Because we're running short on time, and I wouldn't want to end the conversation without asking you something very, very specific. We've been talking about. Well, you mentioned that the company itself, what you're building has both a human component and a very important tech component, right? So my question to you is this: how would you, based on what you know, based on what you're building, and considering both options, both elements, the human and the tech, how would you evaluate whether a business idea like yours has the technical feasibility to scale globally? Or even more so, are you planning on scaling globally, and at what level? And if so, how do you plan on tackling that?
Absolutely, we are scaling globally as we go. We're heading up to 12 regions around the world by the end of 2028, which is going to be lovely. Our challenge for scalability comes from scaling while retaining exclusivity. And that's kind of a little bit of a balance. But when I start looking at technological companies and whether they're going to be scalable in the long term, every single business, every single operation, everything around the world comes down to one single fundamental function in business, and that is to solve a problem. And what gives something longevity for me in the tech field is asking, what is the problem that you're trying to solve in the first place? Because that is going to determine your timeline. Right. If you have a problem that you are trying to solve in the next 3 years, you say, I struggle to think of something off the top of the bat now, but I see this very, very often in founders starting up something new, is that they have a product which they want to promote. This product can deliver X service. All right. And so they look at it that side. They look at it as far as saying, I am selling this service. Now, you can take that service, and I mean, we're seeing this absolutely prevalent right now with AI and the invention of artificial tech and being able to use that in coding and development, is that these solutions are not reaching their maturity before something else comes into play that's going to drastically solve that problem in a different way. And people struggle to see that alternative solution because they are so focused on their product and what they are trying to sell. So when a lot of founders create a product or a piece of software or something like that, their single focus is, how do I market this piece of software? How do I get this into the right people? How do I get that through? If the question you're asking yourself is, ideally, I want to be able to solve this problem. So, be it you want to solve world hunger, or you want to you want to solve something as large as that. Well, the product that you have is. Firstly, no battle plan has ever survived first contact with the enemy. So whatever business plan that you have in place and whatever product that you've built up to send out there is not going to be moving very smoothly and solidly in one single direction. That's just not how life works. Unfortunately, there are going to be issues along the way. You're going to find hiccups. You're going to find issues. You're going to find a lot of problems that each have to be solved. And if along that way you don't see the opportunity to take a lateral direction, so if you're hell-bent in just working in one direction to get one sales goal met or one marketing goal met, and you've lost touch of what that ultimate goal is that you're trying to solve, every problem that comes through, you will be looking at from the perspective of, how do I solve this in a linear format to get back to the path in which to reach my marketing goal, in which to reach my sales goal, in which to reach my other goal in order to sell my product. But very often a problem will pitch up that provides an opportunity to move in a different direction. And in following that different direction, you'll find areas of growth and paths of growth that drastically exceed the linear path that you're on right now.
Okay.
All to say, rigidity in idea is a dangerous thing. And so when I'm looking at a project and want to figure out the longevity of it and just how long we can keep this going, I'm not looking at how quickly can we get a product to market, because before we could do that, there could be 8 other products that get through there and our efforts are lost. I look at it going, how can this product solve the ultimate problem that we're trying to get to?
I see. Well, we're definitely coming up on time. So I have one more question. Is where do you see the intersection of technology and experiential businesses like Pantheon Golf heading in the next few years?
I think it's inevitable at this point that it's going to become a total hybridization of worlds. So if you look at the technology now that's coming through in terms of virtual reality, augmented reality, these artificial interactions, essentially with the world around us, are becoming more and more natural for us, and they're just becoming more and more prevalent, and they're sneaking into our lives in ways that we just don't even comprehend anymore. And as we continue, I think that line is going to continue to blur. I think, you look at some of the VR technology now that's available just in the golfing world, and you have glasses that you can wear out into a putting green, and they'll work out the surface of the green and figure out the ideal putt for you and give you that. So we're going to see a lot of these little things coming into the amateur world, that are going to help people improve their game, that are going to help them have a lot more fun. We're going to see it change the ruling system in the game completely over the next few years. And this is really not just in golf. I think in every element, we're starting to see more and more almost a biological interaction, almost a biological bringing together of technology and experiential. I think eventually it's just going to become synonymous. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, Nick, it's been a great pleasure to have you here. Unfortunately, we need to wrap up. It's been a very educational, and definitely we're going to keep an eye on this conversation, because, folks, if you're watching live, remember that this is being recorded, so we're going to be promoting it like afterwards. Just keep an eye on social media. So, Nick, it's been a great pleasure. So, again, any final words of wisdom for the audience before we go? Anything you want to share? Any parting words?
I think if I could share one thing, it would be the realization that when you start a business and when you go into a venture, that the vast majority of the time, your vision alone is not enough to take that vision, to take that business to its highest potential. Mm-hmm. And so it's very important in your business journeys, in any kind of venture, to surround yourself with people who have vision. And it's very important to surround yourself with people who have a different vision to what you do. Because those are the folks, everybody has their own approach to problem solving. Every culture is taught a different way of approaching mathematics to figure out the same basic solution to a problem: 2 times 2 = 4. Different people are going to have different exposure and different ways of dealing with different problems, and see opportunity in problems where we just see linear blockages. So absolutely. Surround yourself with people who can see a T-junction where everybody else sees a dead end.
Exactly. Well, that's going to be a good one. So there you have it, folks. That's Nick's final words of wisdom. Nick, how can people get a hold of you? I'm assuming you're on LinkedIn, right?
I'm on LinkedIn. I'm a really bad social media user. So I do have a LinkedIn. I do have a Facebook. I have right at the bottom. There we are. You can see my LinkedIn.
Bottom. There you have it, folks. Nick Huddy.
And if anybody wants to reach out to me for any questions, please do feel free. My email address is nick@pantheongolf.com.
Okay, so keep an eye on that as well, folks. Make a note of it. nick@pantheongolf.com. It's right there down below, where the ticker is showing. So, Nick, again, thank you for having been with us on the show. We had a great time. Unfortunately, we need to wrap up. But, folks, whoever's watching, remember that next week, every Wednesday at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time, we do have conversations with those who are actually not just talking about the future, but creating it. So, Nick, thank you big time for having been with us on the show. And until next time, stay with me as we go off the air. And the rest of you folks, have a great rest of your week. Thank you for having watched Advancio Talks.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you.
Thank you.